Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Saturday morning the 23rd of November. So we're going to talk about the Sebastian Rogers case today, only quite briefly. Look, this is the reason why I don't follow this case that closely anymore, because Sebastian has been weaponised. Totally and utterly weaponised by one side of this great divide. It is Seth Rogers, Sebastian Rogers' biological father. Seth Rogers did a live stream last night with TikTok Tony and Josh from the lab. I don't have any problems with Josh from the lab. I don't always agree with him, but I don't have a problem with him. What I have a problem with is Seth Rogers and TikTok Tony. So we're going to talk about that. Alright, so this live happened overnight my time. I've just finished watching it. I'm only going to play a little tiny bit of it to respond to, because honestly, the vast majority of it was totally as you would expect. Let's see how much we can nitpick. Oh, they spent so long talking about them not contacting Seth as soon as things happened. Right, look, Katie got up at 6 a.m. The call to Seth came in at 6:22 a.m. Even before they called law enforcement, Chris had contacted Seth. Why do you think Katie didn't contact Seth or make an attempt to contact the jail? Because she was frantic. She was out of her mind. On the dispatch audio, we heard law enforcement talking to each other, saying that Katie was out looking for Sebastian. She had other things on her mind. So she contacts Chris because he's her support system. She's not going to contact Seth, however much he might secretly still be in love with her, and all that love turns to hate, because love and hate are just two sides of the same coin. How quickly love turns to hate when it's unrequited. It's very quick. And I'm sorry, Seth is his own worst enemy. They went on to talk about that day, and oh, Kathy Bowersocks was there. Kathy Bowersocks was there before Chris got there. Kathy Bowersocks is Chris's mother. She's there as a support for Katie until Chris gets there, because he's 3.5 hours away. I don't think there's anything suspicious about that, because Kathy Bowersocks just lives down the road. Well, a few miles down the road, but still. Seth gets there. He doesn't feel welcome. No one says hello to him. Well, because they've all got one thing on their mind. The fact that Sebastian's missing. Because they didn't roll out the red carpet for Seth Rogers, that's all wrong. And then they went on to talk about the investigation, that lots of people tramped through the house. I do have a slight problem with that, I do. I mean, I know when they're looking for a missing child, it's all hands on deck. It's chaos for the first few hours. We heard on the dispatch audio that, you know, they were getting a plan together by mid-morning. They had a plan, they knew what they were going to do, but they were using the house almost like the first staging post. And I guess because most kids are found within the first few hours, they do that. I think the reason why they didn't think that the house was a crime scene, you know, from the jump, was because nothing was disturbed. It's a very clean, very tidy house. Nothing was disturbed. And detectives went round the perimeter on the outside and nothing was disturbed. So it didn't look like anybody had broken in to abduct him. I know people are going to say, yeah, but Katie murdered him. All right, if nothing whatever is disturbed, and the vast majority of kids are found within a few hours, that's why they didn't lock down the house. Lots of people tramping around the yard, I do have a problem with that, because it's interfering with scent for the dogs. And yes, they did get a scent, Tony. All right, I'm going to play a little bit of this right at the end, because it's just ridiculous.
PIN code and pull fingerprints off of it, or anything of that sort. I mean, the first 48 hours is the most crucial, and I was there for 3 days, and I never saw them do anything along that line.
Again, because nothing was disturbed. Earlier on in this, he was like, oh, well, they came to my house and they took my PlayStation and that's what I watch my stuff on. Can't watch TV now. And they took Sebastian's games console, but they left his laptop. Well, I don't know why they left his laptop. I don't know whether they took his laptop later. I've got a problem with that. They should have just taken everything. Oh, but they gave Chris and Katie their phones back dead quickly. And they didn't take Sebastian's Switch. Well, it's because, as Seth went on to say, a detective tried and tried and tried to get on the internet on Sebastian's Switch, realised they can't get on the internet. The reason why they took Seth's stuff was because it's got internet access. Sebastian used Seth's stuff unsupervised. So if Sebastian had been communicating with somebody who he'd then gone off with or got abducted by, the contact would have been made at Seth's. So that priority is that stuff. Consoles or devices that can't connect to the internet, Sebastian is not going to be using those, is he? Use your brain. He's not going to be using those, is he? To contact anyone. No. And then Seth has the audacity to criticise Chris and Katie for locking their stuff down. Well, it's because they know that Sebastian has an issue with social skills. So Seth just leaves him to get on with his life and leaves him for 12, 14, 16 hours at a time. Who's the better parent?
There's only one thing that would make him run away. He was running away from a dangerous situation.
And he may well have been upset. He may well have been upset about the prospect of going living at Seth's because he didn't want to go there to live. He liked to visit, but he didn't want to go there to live. Why? Because Seth had got him enrolled in online school and Sebastian didn't want to do it. That's why he might have been upset. He might have been upset for a multitude of reasons. Like, he's autistic. He's got, chronic insomnia. He's up half the night. Maybe he just goes for a walk at night. We know he wanders around the neighbourhood. We know he does. Because the neighbours have said.
I don't think he left the house on his own. Well, I don't see how he walks out the front door, the back door, any other door, and dogs don't hit on a scent that is that fresh.
Well, they did, Tony.
Look, the homes are beautiful. The place is nice. I would think that most of those homes have some Ring doorbell cameras or cameras mounted. I'm sure that I would just be shocked if there's not a trail of cameras.
There is a lot of cameras in that neighbourhood. Perhaps not as many as you would think, because it's a very safe neighbourhood. Maybe people feel that they don't need, full-on security systems. But I've talked at length about the cameras and the reasons why those cameras going up Kelling Lane wouldn't catch somebody walking along the road. They're too far away from the road. Like Ring doorbells are too far away from the road. The FBI did experiments to see whether they, walking along the road wearing black at night, would trigger those cameras. And oh, guess what? No, they didn't. Now, vehicles coming and going, in and out of Stafford to Kelling and then to Long Hollow, they would have been caught on the camera at the corner there and probably the two on Kelling. So that's why law enforcement knew that nothing untoward had gone on, like that Chris had come home early or that Katie had gone out in the middle of the night hiding a body. That's how they knew. Let's get real here.
If he leaves out of there in a car or some other way, is the only way the dogs don't hit on that, right? I mean, right. There's not a multitude of ways that happens.
Again, couldn't have left in a car. Not from Stafford Court, for the reasons I've talked about in other videos. You can't get out the top of Stafford. You have to go out of the bottom of Stafford and then either turn left up Kelling or turn right onto Kelling and then shortly thereafter onto Long Hollow. The cameras there would have caught vehicles. If Sebastian was abducted, he wasn't abducted from his house. If he was abducted, if he had been groomed, by somebody using one of Seth's devices that he has unfettered access to. And yes, I don't think it's a problem for a 15-year-old to have access to the internet. But with somebody like Sebastian, who's got a problem with social skills, then under supervision, and not unfettered access. I think Chris and Katie were the better parents in this regard. That's just my opinion. Some of you might not agree with me, but whatever. To say that he left in a car, well, he had to be groomed by somebody using one of Seth's devices, or somebody in the local area that he'd met, either via school or just by, you know, the wandering around that he's done. And it would have to be very carefully planned. I've talked before about the route from the opposite side of the cemetery, from Ward Lane. You can drive from Ward Lane down to the cemetery. There's a track you can get through. That could be why Sebastian's scent ended at the pond. But no, Tony. Sebastian did leave that house. Dogs tracked him. So they go on to bleat a little bit more about law enforcement, about how nasty they were to Seth. They're not sharing information with him. It's because of stuff like this. I don't know what they feel about this nonsense that Dog the Bounty Hunter's doing, but the reward has now gone up to 200 grand. Do you seriously think Dog the Bounty Hunter has got 150 grand? The guy is in debt. So the FBI have offered 50. That's the real reward, 50 grand. Anybody who contacts Dog's tip line, do you think you're going to get the 150 grand if you give that piece of information that locates Sebastian? You have to wait for it to be crowdfunded. It's just all for show. But yet, the mainstream media are lapping it up. Let's listen to this little piece here from 10 hours ago. This is WKRN.
We will find Sebastian.
9 months later, Sebastian Rogers' father holds on to hope as he continues to search for his missing son. Good evening and welcome to News 2 at 5. I'm Bob Mueller.
And I'm Haley Wilkes. The reward for Sebastian has increased following new tips and a lead that led investigators to believe they had found the teen. News 2's Caitlin Quisenberry has more.
Never going to stop. You don't stop halfway between a goal, and try is just the first way of failing. We will find Sebastian. We will bring him home.
For the last 8 months, there has been no sign of Sumner County teen Sebastian Rogers. In September, Dog the Bounty Hunter joined the search.
They're really quick to jump on every tip that is validated.
On Friday, Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Dog the Bounty Hunter's tips are random people on the internet. Dog just better stick to his truth serum.
You reported seeing a boy matching Sebastian's description at the Motel 6 in Goodlettsville.
According to At Night Private Intelligence, on Monday, a team of licensed investigators and contractors acted on that tip.
I mean, look, the mainstream media love this. They're lapping it up. It's almost like they think that At Night Intelligence Agency is some kind of legitimate thing.
Boy matching Sebastian's description walk into a motel room.
So now every kid who looks remotely like Sebastian, they're gonna get Dog the Bounty Hunter and At Night Intelligence Agency like surveilling them. Look, if you see someone that you think might be Sebastian Rogers, contact law enforcement, please. Not these fugitive hunters. And apparently, they've unearthed this ring that goes all the way to Venezuela. Come on now. Now, this is the real work of law enforcement. Now, I played this clip the other day, and lots of people accuse me of clickbait. But let's have a look. News Channel 5. This is from 4 days ago. Missing child with autism found in Tennessee Creek Bank, thanks to drone. I used a very similar title in the first part of my video from the other day. Missing Tennessee kid with autism found. And everybody jumped on me because I put Sebastian's face on here. And I did the bait and switch. No, I didn't. Period. Latest dramatic developments in the Sebastian Rogers case. So a kid was found, a 4-year-old, and I talked for the majority of the video about the latest developments in Sebastian's case. If you thought this was misleading, did you think this was also misleading? How many of you contacted News Channel 5 to say they were clickbaiting? But this is Eric Craddock, and he's here out there doing his job, finding a little 4-year-old with autism. This is the type of work that they actually do. This is what they did in Sebastian's case. Unfortunately, in Sebastian's case, they didn't locate him. Why? Well, he's 15. He's not a little kid. So he can get further than a little kid can in the time available, and Sebastian might have been missing for several hours. He might have gone out just after midnight. He might have had a 7-hour head start on the cops. But this is the work. This is the real work that they do. This is the heartwarming stories that people who are just hell-bent on the drama don't want to listen to, don't want to hear. But these are the people that Seth Rogers and his cronies are calling incompetent. I'm sure they don't care. They just get on with their work. So there you've got the thermal imaging drone. There you've got Eric Craddock scooping up that little boy and going to reunite him with his family. That's a heartwarming story that we all should appreciate. Instead of calling me a clickbaiter. All right, I'm done.